Hello, everybody. So today I'm going to present you a number of topics together with some colleagues. So we are going to present in this whole session 5 different topics. And the first one is more on basic research on AI. I will go through them. Then a second one is about coordination and support action to support really the AI communities in Europe. The third one is about the networks of excellence centers in AI, focusing on security in AI. The fourth one by my colleague would be about tackling gender, race, and other bias in AI. And the last topic by another colleague would be on AI to fight disinformation. The first presentation will be on the scientific foundation of AI. So we are going to address progress in AI. So we want AI to be more robust, and this must be verifiable as well, more efficiently in terms of energy, more transparent for having really a trustworthy AI. So we will see what is expected from that code. The project we are calling for are research and innovation actions, a budget of 4 million per project, and we expect to start at TRL 2 to 3 and to finish at the end of the project to TRL 4 to 5. So there are a number of expected outcomes from this call, and each of them corresponds to one focus in the call text. I will go one by one through them. So the first one is really to have the world-class, transparent, explainable, accountable, and trustworthy AI based on smarter, safer, secure, resilient, accurate, robust, reliable, and dependable solutions. So basically, we want to improve AI on all fronts. The second one is really to improve AI solution aiming to meet the industrial requirements in terms of autonomy, accuracy, safety, repeatability, robustness, resilience, security, and so on. So really fitting the needs of the industry. The third one is about greener AI. The fourth one is about the next level of AI-based solutions. So really exploiting the intelligence embedded in the edge to the cloud infrastructure. And finally, advances in complex system and socially aware AI. All of these projects are expected to contribute to developing trustworthy AI technology, so improving the transparency with those different aspects, and then demonstrate the benefit in particular application and build the next level of intelligence in autonomy in the system. So the system should be more adaptable, comply with real-time performance where needed, and be more data or energy efficiency. And then any type of approach can be used. We provided a number of examples, but other are also possible. Now, what is very important is really to have solid scientific development. So this is about research. And as appropriate, they can also include some work on design, testing and validation, certification, software engineering, modularity, interoperability, and standardization methods. So as appropriate, depending on the focus of your proposal. What is also expected in the outcome is making the AI robotic solution meeting the requirement of a trustworthy AI. So you should consider ethical principle, fundamental right, including privacy, and really build in this ethical principle from early stage of development of AI system. Now I will go to one by one the 5 different focus of this call, and you should clearly identify in your proposal on which one you will focus. So they will be, let's say, sorted independently. So you will really need to identify which is the focus of the of your proposal. So the first one is about world-class AI. So we expect there to see novel or promising learning as well as symbolic and hybrid approaches. The goal is really to advance the level of intelligence and autonomy so that the system can address more complex problems, adapt to new situations. And the approach, we list a number of approaches here, but this is not a limited list. So this is just to give some indication. The second one is about advanced transparency in AI, where we expect to increase explainability, to increase transparency with having also some level of performance that can be guaranteed and verified, and also the same for the providing a confidence level in the result. And it's very important to increase the user understanding of the AI system behavior to have this adoption and understanding by the user. It's also important to meet the industrial requirement. The third focus is about greener AI. We know that AI can use a lot of energy, and the goal here is to do some research to improve the situation and make those AI-based systems more data and energy efficient. So we expect to see lighter and optimized model and optimize also learning in terms of data efficiency, optimize architecture, calculation in big data analytics as well. And they should build on the latest technology and hardware and devices, and including sensors, including low power hardware, and really focusing on energy reduction. Next focus is on the next AI solution using edge AI and the network. So this cloud to edge infrastructure. So the intelligence also comes next to near the sensor with limited resources. And they also have to integrate the latest development in sensors, in perception. And the goal is really to optimize the edge versus cloud AI. So operate where it's best to optimize the overall system capability globally, and also to provide the best service to the user. And it should build on the latest hardware development. They are not supposed to develop hardware here, but exploit what exists, for instance, in the KDT joint undertaking. The next focus is about complex system and socially aware AI. And here, the goal is really to understand these complex system. And when you bring AI in the system, in this whole system, so it's very important that the system is able to anticipate and cope with consequences of action in this complex network, where you have a large-scale mixed community of humans and AI system, and they interact over different level of temporal and spatial scales. And it's very important also to have the balance requirement and optimize the individual versus common goal and good and social concerns. So that was the 5 different topics. And what do they all have to do? So they will have to work on the scientific foundation for designing, modeling, analyzing, operating, monitoring, integrating, maintaining, and extending AI system. And again, you select as appropriate, depending on the focus of your project. But the focus is really on scientific foundation. However, you have to demonstrate the relevance to real-world application, and for that, you have to use use case to demonstrate scientific project. And you have to have a mechanism in the proposal to assess and demonstrate the progress. So who should be leading those consortia? So you should seek to have really world-class research lab and top scientists really joining forces to address these major scientific challenges. And you should team up with company with major industrial industrial sector for Europe. So what we'd like to do really is an AI made in Europe, which is key for their competitiveness. So this company must have a genuine interest in AI. It's very important also to include multidisciplinary team to address these very complex program, which needs really all these different disciplines. Now, in terms of outreach, all the projects are expected to share their communicable result with European R&D community. So for that, there is the AI on demand platform. So we expect the result to be put on that platform. They have to collaborate with relevant AI data and robotics project, and in particular, dedicate some tasks to work with the PPP on AI data and robotics. There will be a CSA for that. This is it for the first subtopic. The second topic is about coordination and support action for this AI community in Europe, and we will see the specificities. So this coordination and support action, we have 2 types of them. The first one, we expect 1 project of 4 million, and the second one, we expect 1 project of 9 million, and I'll explain the differences. The first project is basically to support the PPP, public-private partnership on AI, data, and robotics, and do a number of additional action also mentioned in the PPP task. So they are expected to establish links between relevant projects, so build a whole community about AI, data, and robotics, include educational and outreach activities, help the adoption of AI in all member states and associated states so that everyone has the same chance and is in the level playing field. Also boost the procurement of AI to really help the deployment of AI for the benefit of our society, and have also an important activities on standardization, which is key for deployment. The second one is on the AI on demand platform, which is really a tool to serve the research community under this program. So the first outcome, so I mentioned the different activities that the PPP on AI, data, and robotics is supposed to do. So there will be one large CSA to cover all the aspects of coordination, networking, adoption, widespread education and outreach, procurement, and standardization. And then there will be a second CSA for this AI on demand platform, and they will have to work very closely among each other. They are complementary and they should exploit the network they will build. So now coming back to the first type of CSA, so the one supporting the PPP on AI, data, and robotics, what type of action needs will the PPP have to do? So they have to build a strong and inclusive network, bringing the academia, industry, major European sectors, all stakeholders, including national representative. They also have really to bring the benefit of AI to our economy and society, and explain what AI can do for the society. They have an important task to develop the strategic research, innovation, deployment agenda for AI in Europe. So that's why it's very important to have an inclusive network to really develop and commit and invest in this strategy and implement it through this program in particular. They have to have coordination activities to among the research, the innovation, and the expert they bring on board. And they also have to address non-R&D tasks such as skills, such as awareness raising, such as standardization, and so on. So now in terms of coordination and networking activities, so we expect this action to really build coordination and networking among all relevant projects from Horizon 2020, Horizon Europe, Digital Europe program, and all existing program which exist, and also gathering the different types of tools and activities that we are developing and which are relevant for AI. And they have to be there to share knowledge, to develop synergies, and to coordinate the effort so that we are stronger together and we create a very strong community of AI. Regarding now the adoption of AI in all member states and associated countries, the goal is really to eliminate any gaps in digital competencies and access to the knowledge, access to the technology. So they have to here to bring an important geographical dimension so that everyone has the same chance in Europe to be involved in this AI effort. Now, regarding the education and outreach, we expect to explain really what AI is so that the everyone, the public, the potential user, industry, SMEs understand and have realistic expectation regarding AI. They also have to increase the public awareness in order to help the acceptability and trustworthiness of AI. That's why it's very important to explain the reality of what AI can do and its limitation as well. The target audience is the business, the SMEs, the public administrators, and any citizens. They will have also to contribute to the social welfare and sustainability, to have to explain what AI can do in that respect. And they really have to also explain the added value of combining AI, data, and robotics in various types of applications and environment. Now, regarding the adoption in procurement, so they will have to help the procurement system of AI solution, be it public or private procurement, to really foster the development and the adoption of European industry and application. So they have to, this will help to foster deployment, as I said, and this should also build on the strengths we have in European data. So that's very important to build on that. And of course, they will have to develop procurement mechanisms which are compliant with the regulatory framework. Now, regarding standardization, there are a number of activities which are listed. So we expect them to build an observatory, to analyze the gaps and provide recommendations for future standard, and organize exchanges between the standardization organization, support the representative from Europe to take part in this international standardization initiative, and network the key stakeholder to define the requirement to disseminate the progress regarding standardization and so on, and also establish link between standardization, certification, and regulation, and finally also come up with recommendation regarding research and innovation to support also the development and the implementation of standards. Now, let's come to the second type of coordination and support action, the AI on-demand platform. So this AI on-demand platform funded under this program is really there to serve the research community. And the goal is to share the knowledge, to share the resource such as data, computing, cloud, and of course, the algorithm, the development, the latest result in AI to progress faster together in sharing results, in demonstrating progress, in comparing solutions. So this should really be a playground for the scientists to really show progress. And this should really help also the publication and the scientific community to progress and demonstrate those progress. And so the platform should really develop services and support this AI community in enriching the platform with the services and maintaining it so that it really serves the community and provide the necessary tool and environment for the scientists to develop that. So they will have to demonstrate and promote excellence. They will have to show that they will serve the need of the community. So this should be explained in the proposal, and they will have to cooperate with the first CSA with a common portal, sharing of information, success story, and so on. And this is very important for a successful proposal. Just another information, the link between this AI on-demand platform funding here and the one which is planned under the digital program. So this one is really targeting the scientific community. The other one is targeting the market. So this is for more mature technology ready to be deployed. But we expect a lot of synergies between the two, because here the result which will come out of this platform, once they reach sufficient maturity, we expect them to be transferred to the other platform. So that was it for the second topic. The third topic is about the European networks of AI excellence centers, and this year the focus is on security. So let me explain the expected outcome and expectation from this call. So the type of project we are calling for is research and innovation action. The budget is 9 million euro per project, and the start TRL is between 2 and 3, and the expected end TRL is between 4 and 5. And in this section, the AI is considered as a broad sense. It covers AI, data, and robotics. So what are the expected outcome of this call? We want to establish a new pillar of the European AI Lighthouse. I will explain in a minute. We want to reinforce a leading unified European AI community, so bringing the AI community together to join forces. And we really want to make scientific progress in AI to address major challenges hampering its deployment. So we expect progress in science through this project as well. So As I said, I want to clarify the concept of the AI lighthouse. So the goal is really to bring together stakeholders from research, innovation, and deployment to become a world reference in AI. So this is the lighthouse. And this should be able then to attract investment and the best talent in the field, which is essential. So they will have to mobilize the AI community to collaborate on key research challenges, and they will really be essential for reaching critical mass and overcome the fragmentation we see in Europe. And this lighthouse will build on key pillars. And so the networks of excellence centers specializing in a given topic, and where Europe has a potential to become a global champion. So it builds on early funding. So we have started already to fund 4 networks of excellence centers in Horizon 2020, but we will continue funding such networks of excellence centers. There will be 2 in this first call, and there will be future one in future calls as well. So let's now go in the specificity of this call. So the scope is to reinforce a network's excellence center in AI, bringing the best scientists from academia and industry to join forces to address major AI challenges which hamper the deployment of AI. So we should really reinforce excellence through collaboration in AI throughout Europe. So I will go through the different section of the call. So explaining the technology focus, the composition of the network, the activities expected, and the synergies with other activities. So in terms of technology focus, so it is about safe and secure AI, addressing safety and security by design. So from early stages in designing AI-based systems. It's important that the focus is on collaboration. So it's not just in discussion among people, it's about working together and bringing the different aspects of AI, of safety, bringing the engineering also expertise, the security expertise, the cybersecurity expertise to work together and progress on this topic. So the focus is on research, and also they are invited to exchange best practices and also ideas regarding standardization and certification as appropriate, and they should address major technical and sectorial or societal driven challenges. So the research topic to be covered more into the detail is about the technical robustness and safety of AI-based systems. So evaluating, for instance, the resilience of those systems, quantifying the robustness against attack, privacy preserving techniques and infrastructure. So build that from the beginning in AI-based systems, how to do that. And human agency and oversight is also an important topic that could be covered, where you bring explainability in the system so that you can detect, you can prevent, you can mitigate or recover from harm or threats. So as you see, these are all topics which are very important in the context of security and safety in AI-based systems. So in terms of activities, so the focus is on research activities. So they will have then to address major scientific and technological challenges with industrial and societal relevance, and where the focus is important to focus on where Europe can make a difference. And for that, they will have to develop and implement research agenda. So they should already, such agenda, such strategy must already be in the proposal, but could be further developed inside during the running of the project. But it's important to have this strategy quite well outlined and defined in the proposal. So they have to present the vision, the roadmap, and a system to monitor the progress along the during the project with some milestone, and explain how you will monitor and guarantee that you have reached your objective. So it would be very important to demonstrate the progress of AI and the societal and technological challenge which have been defined by the strategic research agenda that you have defined earlier. And for that, you're using use cases or application specific data set where you can then demonstrate the progress. So it's very important to provide within the project access and use of resources and infrastructure for the researcher involved in the project to be able to use and progress on their on their scientific progress. So it should be in terms of hardware, in terms of engineering support, for instance, in terms of exploiting the technology enablers which come from latest results from adjacent research activities. So what is important is really to address major scientific and application challenges, to mobilize the community to join forces in addressing them. So they all together focus and collaborate on these topics. And they should embed continuous evaluation and demonstration of progress, which is very important to motivate the entire networks, and so that they can be part of this and show how they contribute to this progress. This is important for the scientists also to help them in their career, to help them to publish. And this is also important for the user industry to show them what the technology is capable of doing, and then it should hopefully foster adoption. And very important, the project should embed qualitative and quantitative KPIs that would be evaluated throughout the project. The composition of the network is very important to really have this project led by important and leading figures on AI to then become the key network to join, and they have to bring with them also the AI and the relevant technologies in this context of security, and they should come from major excellence research center, and then they should be joined by the best scientists they find all across Europe. They should not limit to 2-3 countries. They should really find them wherever they're based, including as well from promising labs, and they should really bring on board the best European research team. They should bring on board the right level of expertise, and variety of expertise and multidisciplinary is also very important in this context, and also bring on board the link to industry, either directly to the project, hopefully, or via very strong link they will develop through the program, through the project. So additional activities is about developing strong networks. And for that, they will have a number of activities to do. And this network should lead to efficient collaboration. It's not just discussion, it's really working together to foster excellence and create this vibrant network of excellence in AI. And they will have then to disseminate to all the top level expertise they have, and then they have to disseminate to the academic and the industrial AI lab through either collaborative project or exchange program, and they can be defined either initially, or then they can use this mechanism of financial support to third parties, so a cascading fund mechanism where they can distribute up to 20% of the EU funding. So you should select the optimal solution for you. It's not imposed, you have to select what's best. They will have to foster innovation, so find mechanisms within the project to have such kind of incubator, tech transfer funds, or any kind of mechanisms to really foster innovation, create startup, and so on within the project. And finally, they have to build synergies and cross-fertilization with all the relevant stakeholders, so building industry, academia cross-fertilization, link to the digital innovation hubs, link also to the world-class reference testing facilities that will be funded in the Digital Europe program, also link to existing regulatory sandboxes or create one if they have, and a link to the AI startup, which is a very vibrant community we have in Europe. And the goal is that these networks of excellence centers should really become a reference with their expertise in AI, and in this case related to security. And they should become a virtual center of excellence, which will become then a common resource and a shared facility for everyone in Europe, which gives access to the best knowledge and excellence in this field, and will become a reference with very high visibility for Europe and for the teams involved, and then become very attractive to new talents as well. In terms of networking and collaboration mechanisms, they have to be well defined in the proposal. So they have to build this mechanism about the best AI and relevant research team, and then elaborate a mechanism to bring all the AI teams in Europe at the highest level of excellence. So not keep the best for themselves, but help to bring the AI community in Europe at the top level. And they have to also, we encourage them to share their knowledge, their results, and so on, to optimize the progress. So sharing, having open and interoperable solution and component, make equipment and infrastructure available as possible, and exploit and expand the AI on demand platform, which is a tool for the AI community to really progress together and work together on this topic. Then the last item is about synergies. We expect each project to build really synergies with the relevant activities. So you know that we have already funded 4 networks of excellence centers in AI under Horizon 2020. So we expect this project to work together with those projects, so that all together they create this vibrant European networks of excellence center and create this European AI lighthouse. So they should integrate with the existing one and complement with activities. So they should dedicate tasks to work closely and build coherence with those. They should also work with relevant activities in AI, data, and robotics, you know, in cluster 3, which is focusing on security. So they should try to see what is relevant and how to build link with those activities. And they should also dedicate some tasks and activities to work with the PPP on AI, data, and robotics. Thank you for your attention. Then the next presentation will be given by my colleague. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I will present the next topic under Destination 6 called Tackling Gender, Race, and Other Biases in AI. This is a research and innovation action for which we foresee a budget of between 3 and 3.5 million euros. We expect up to 3 projects to be funded under this call. Activities are expected to start at a technology readiness level of 3 to 4 and achieve a level of 5 to 6 by the end of the project. So in terms of expected outcomes, we expect proposals to contribute to the following 4 areas. First, increased availability and deployment of unbiased and bias-preventing AI solutions across a wide range of industrial and digital sectors. Then AI-based solutions for enhancing digital equality and social inclusion for women and girls and other groups at risk of discrimination, such as ethnic minorities and LGBTIQ persons. Third, increased involvement of underrepresented persons in the design, development, training, and deployment of AI. And then lastly, increased awareness and knowledge and skills about trustworthy, bias-free, and socially responsible AI in the tech industry and scientific community. In terms of scope, we want proposals to address the following areas: develop technologies and algorithms to evaluate and address intersectional biases in AI-based systems by addressing gender, racial, age bias, as well as bias against persons with disabilities, people from socially disadvantaged backgrounds, so class, socioeconomic status, and the LGBTIQ community. And then next, to develop standardized processes to assess and quantify the trustworthiness of the developed AI systems. This might include a methodology for considering diversity and representativeness of data, ensuring the reliability and explainability of the AI systems, or testing models on various subgroups and enabling appropriate stakeholder participation. And then also to conduct trainings and awareness raising on preventing bias for AI researchers, students, and practitioners. Here, it is important that the trainings are not just limited to those with an already existing interest in AI, in socially responsible AI, but to target a wider group of practitioners. And then finally, to cooperate with the public-private partnership on AI, data and robotics, and other relevant partnerships across a wide range of industrial and digital sectors. So again, this could include representatives of international digital professional associations, the computing industry, high-tech startups, with the aim to promote the use and uptake of the developed tools. More specifically, the research focus should be on either developing recommender and personalization systems, or algorithmic decision-making, or surveillance in software such as facial recognition. Please note that your proposals may focus on more than one of these 3 AI-based systems, but they should clearly identify their expected use case in society. So this can concern the labor market, education, advertising, social media, taxation, healthcare, or the justice system. But in conclusion, so any bias which could affect people's ability to participate in the economy and society. Now, we also have additional requirements applying to all proposals. Proposals should focus on the development of tools and processes for the design, testing, and validation. They should also build tools to support the deployment and uptake, auditing, and certification where appropriate, and embed mechanisms to assess and demonstrate progress with qualitative and quantitative KPIs, benchmarking, progress monitoring, etc. And then also to ensure that already available results from relevant EU-funded research projects such as Sherpa, Sienna, Benefit are taken into account, and that the research builds on these. Who would we like to see involved in the projects to be funded under this call? First of all, world-class research labs and top scientists, but then also multidisciplinary teams and transdisciplinary research, including SSH experts, which is very recommended for this topic. And then we also want traditionally underrepresented groups to be better involved in the design, development and training of the AI systems. And then lastly, of course, we also would like to increase the impact and outreach of these results as much as possible. So we expect projects to share communicable results with the European R&I community through the AI on-demand platform, as well as the GEAR tool, that is the Gender Equality in Research and in Academia and Research tool, to maximize the reuse of the results and the efficiency of funding. We would also like to see synergies being built with relevant projects funded under Horizon Europe, including from the work program on widening participation and strengthening the European research area. And finally, projects should also allocate tasks to cohesion activities with the public-private partnership on AI, data and robotics, and funded actions related to these partnerships, including the CSA on European coordination, awareness, standardization, and adoption of trustworthy European AI, data and robotics. That is all for this topic. Thank you very much. I look forward to replying to any questions you may have and wish you all success in the preparation of your proposals. Thank you.
Hello, this is Peter Fries from the European Commission. I'm working in a unit called Media Convergence and Social Media, and I'm a colleague of Cécile Huet, and we are both working on AI. I'm very happy today to present you another topic in the context of the AI cluster, which is called AI to fight disinformation. So the code is Human 0127 AI to fight disinformation. It's a research innovation action. It has a total budget of 13 million euro, and we expect to finance 2 projects around 6.5 million euro. So the mathematics is very easy. We have our TRL technology readiness level start from 3 to 4, which means it's basically about the research and the feasibility. And you should add up at level 5 to 6, which is a pilot demonstration and engagement of a wider community. We have a background on this topic, on the AI to fight disinformation, which are two major communications by the European Union, published end of last year. One is the so-called Audiovisual and Media Action Plan, which really tries to put together actions to foster the European media sector, where of course the social media play a very important role. And we have the European Democracy Action Plan, where we really want to bring the democracy forward and more supported in Europe in the age of digitalization and digital media. You might wonder about the topic, but let me briefly explain why we set up this topic for calling for proposals. It's basically today, and because you know, since the crisis even more, social media is the backbone of the human society, the way we communicate, we relate, we make business, and we inform ourselves. And what, of course, what unfortunately happens is that this is also exploited in a false way, that a lot of false information and even fakes are spread around. And unfortunately, because more and more people are now using social media and there are more sophisticated tools, all what is called around disinformation or deepfake has now become even more stronger and more widespread. That's why in this topic, we would like to support the community, I think both the professionals and the citizens, to use AI tools or to have something at hand which is more advanced than a simpler mechanism to verify, where the professionals and the citizens can identify if information is false or error and is built on purpose but not based on truth and reality. On the next slide, I show a little bit what we are working on. So basically, as I said, we have a double focus. One is on the professional and one is on the citizens. And what we are calling for in the first focus is advanced AI solutions against advanced disinformation techniques for media professionals, because those people producing this information are also using more and more sophisticated technologies, which means that in turn, the media professionals need to be equipped to act against and to detect all those false information. What we are looking for here is, can say, I see on the slide that scientific researchers and the practitioners are equipped with AI media tools and can detect and trace false information, and also to see where they come and what this might cause. So what we really like to have in this focus is to connect the scientific community, the media professionals, and of course also the media and social media producers and outlets to connect their knowledge, their forces, and work on a common tool which support them to fight against disinformation. Of course, you will find more information in the overall call text, but I think this gives you a good idea that where we want to go, that really we want to align all forces to support the media professionals in the overall media and social media ecosystem. We have a second side, which is actually the citizens. So we also want to work on advanced AI solutions against disinformation for citizens. And what is foreseen in the call, I was saying at the beginning that we would finance 2 projects. And what we're looking for, that one project is financed for the professionals and one is financed for the citizens. So what is important that you clearly indicate which focus you would like to support. And this will give us an idea in which subject area you target and what you are going to work on. If we come to the citizen side, we have a different perspective. The citizens are highly interested in media and social media information. They like to move around, to play, to get connected to information. They have fears, they have worries. So it's a completely different environment compared to professionals. But it's important that in this complex environment, the citizens can find their way, detect false information, and have in the end some certainty about reliable and trustworthy information. So I think what the challenge is here is not to bombard citizens with sophisticated solutions, but maybe to derive simplified solutions based on AI, which can help citizens through all kinds of applications, websites, plugins to work on debunking false information and identifying where it's not true but false. So whereas for the professionals in the other focus, the highlight is certainly on how you would support the professionals in a very complex environment. Here, it's important to address the citizen in a way that those are not professionals, some of course are, but that a variety of different competences, people having different literacy, media literacy skills, having different computer affinity, are still very much supported. So as you can see, I think this topic, AI against disinformation, is a very timely topic. We're looking forward to interesting proposals from your side. We target both sides, the producer, the media ecosystem, but we also target the receiver side, or those people actually using, being surrounded, and also trusting in social media and the media environment. So I think that's an interesting topic. I look forward to very interesting presentations. If you have any questions, I would just say that you contact me. My name is Peter Fries, or my colleague Cie, and that you also in the call text, which is the official reference of this topic, you see that what we want you, that you don't work in isolation, but you link your proposal and your activities to the ongoing AI activities of the European Commission, the Media Action Plan, as well as the European Democracy Action Plan, and relevant ongoing projects, initiatives, not only in the European Union, but also in member states. Thank you very much, and I hand back. Thank you.
So hello also from my side. My name is Evangelia Marguido, and I'm a colleague of Cécile, Peter, and Jean. And although my colleagues did a great job in explaining the topics and the main aspects that you need to take into account, we also have now the Q&A part session where you can ask questions. There are already some questions that some of you have raised while watching the videos online, the presentations, but there are two ways for you to ask the questions. One is to go to slido.com and insert there the code #classed4infodays. And another possibility is for those of you using the website, the dedicated website, there is on the right side, interact with the event. And if you choose destination 6, both on Slido and on interact with the event, you can raise the dedicated questions to the topics that we presented today. To my colleagues, as you can see, we have the first questions there. So I'd like to hand over the floor then to, I would say, Cécile. You presented 01.1, and maybe you can also kind of group them together because the questions are quite similar. Cécile?
Thank you, Evangelia. So welcome back, everybody. I will indeed address those three questions which are related. It's related to this first topic, Human 0101, and as you could see, there are 5 subtopics in that areas. So indeed, how many project will we fund in each of them? So what we want to ensure is that we have a sufficient coverage of each of them, because each topic is very important and we want to see progress in each. But given that the first one is broader than the other one, we want to see at least 3 projects from the first topic, at least 1 for the other ones, and then we will see for the rest, we will distribute based on the quality. And we ask each proposal to indicate the center of gravity, the focus they will target in the proposal. We don't prevent them for also covering other aspects, but if they want to really have a big impact in one of them, they should probably focus well on that one, given the limited resource as well. So I think that covers the 3 first questions, and the next one, I think it's more for Peter.
Hello again, this is Peter. I see the question. I think, like Cécile said, for her topic, in this case as well, we have a center of gravity or 2 centers of gravity, and proposals should clearly indicate if they are for professionals or targeting the citizen perspective. However, I think you would expect that for professionals, there might also somehow connected to the project, representative for a citizen, and vice versa, if you're talking in citizen perspective, that they're somehow linked to the professional media industry. But please clearly indicate which facade or which side you're targeting. Thank you.
So I think we covered the questions that were raised so far. So I think either my colleagues did an excellent job and there are no more questions, or I mean, we will wait a little bit also to see what new questions we have. So let's still wait a little bit online. So as you can see, we have 2 new questions, and let's see which colleague. I mean, there are questions about SMEs, and I think any of you can answer those questions. And of course, there's a question about UK-based researchers. I think there are also this must have also been asked in other sessions, but I'll give the floor to who wants to go first for those questions.
I can go to the first one. Definitely, all the calls can include SMEs. What you should think of is what are the objectives, what are the goals, and to reach that goal, who do you need to bring on board? So you should not think first, okay, I need to bring an SME. No. I need to reach a goal, and for that goal, which partner do I need to bring on board? So, for instance, in the first topic, we mentioned that it would be nice to have industry on board, and in that context, you can say, okay, which industry do I need to bring on board? You identify them, big ones, small ones. Take the one which best fit your needs, so that you can reach your objective. And but there is no a priori, let's say, profile that we want to include or on the opposite to remove. I let maybe my colleague have their say regarding their own topic, how they see the participation of SMEs. Maybe Peter, you start.
I would just say for the topic on the fight against disinformation, it's the same like Cecile explained. I think SME are crucial for Europe, but it depends on the context and on the necessities of and the competences of the partners. So I would say the same like Cecile said. Thank you.
And Jeanne, do you have specific requirements given your constituencies?
I would say it's pretty similar to what you just explained. Just make sure to write in your proposal what the competencies are and why this fits your proposal or your project, and then SMEs might have a valuable role to play.
Yeah, regarding the participant of UK, the general rule apply to everybody. So this answer must have been given in the morning session. So I would refer you to this point, I would say. Then there is another question regarding the TRL. It's necessary to provide industrial use case in the proposal, or can we stick only to research activity? The use cases are there to demonstrate S&T progress. So it's not to invent, let's say, a use case that you can then show progress, but link it to industrial needs and demonstrate progress. We don't ask you to go on site and in the industry and deploy, no, but demonstrate the potential for the industry. And this would be a nice way also to bring industry in your project, to have them committed to help you doing research as well, and make sure that the results you are reaching are in line with future expectations. So this is a bit how we see the link with industries and use cases. And how is it important to is having partner in the consortium? There are members from the PPPs. Yeah, the PPPs does not impose anything regarding the participation in projects. So the PPP is there to define the strategy and then to implement the strategy. So it's for the first topic in particular, it's open to everybody on the same ground. The same for the third one. The second one, then there is a specific aspect related to the PPP. And for that, of course, it would make sense to bring on board a participant in the PPP in the first CSA. But again, that does not prevent others to join. We need to have sufficient level in order to help the functioning of the PPP. But for all the activities that are run through the CSA, there is no limitation regarding that. Is there search facility for consortia dedicated to this destination? That is a generic question. I assume there would be tools in the participant portal. I think you can put keywords, but again, this is something which is a generic question. Right, but normally you should find them on the website. If you type in the keywords, you should find the topics. Now, if you want to find a consortia, that we have to see really how this works, but this is a more horizontal and practical implementation. Then there is a question for you, Jeanne,
Yes.
on 24. I let you then jump in for that one.
Yes, I see. So the question is on whether it's advisable to have the use case partner as actual consortium partners. And I would say, again, really specify in your proposal how this partner fits your topic or your project. And then I would say it is advisable to have someone who is actually in this use field that I just mentioned, whether it's the labor market or education systems, to have this more practical side of it. So, but yeah, make sure to be very concrete in explaining why the partners were selected.
Okay, good. Then just more information just received from my colleague regarding the UK. They will be associated to Horizon Europe, so it's like any associated country. Then they can participate. So this call, these topics are like all the other topics in that respect. There are only few specific topics which are exception, but this one allows for participation. Right, the second question, the relationship between expected outcome and research area, they seem to not one-to-one related. Yeah, indeed, we say that they should the proposal should contribute to at least one of the first expected outcome, and that again it depends a bit the focus of your activities. When you define the focus of your proposal, you should check about the definition of each of them in the description of the actions rather than in the outcomes. Now, the focus on scientific research, is there a disadvantage if the consortium is not led by an academic partner? No, again, it depends on what you're proposing. There are industries or not academic partners who can demonstrate that they will achieve the result, will conduct excellent research and progress on the field. So we don't have any restriction on that. What is the difference between outputs and we see that in the description of the on the presentation of each of the topic, you have a section which explain what are the expected outcome. So that's the first aspect. And the second part is the scope. And in the scope, we explain what each proposal is expected to research on and to focus on. So that's a bit the difference. And also, this will be also taken into account in different aspects of the proposal evaluation in the different criteria we do. Right, what are the type of partner expected for SSH society? Maybe Jeanne, you're quite expert in SSH related activity. You might want to complement, but I can add few things after I see now that it is related to human 0101. But I let you maybe start on SSH in general.
Yes, happy to answer that. So SSH is social sciences and humanities. So if you have ethics experts or in the topic on tackling race and gender bias, that would be gender experts. So this is the social science aspects. Also about citizen engagement or democratic participation. It really depends here on the scope and context.
Yeah, I would say the same as well. When you go to the specificities of the first topic 0101, it depends again on the topic and the focus on of your proposal. When you go to, for instance, increased explainability, it makes sense to involve the related, let's say, disciplines to assess from a societal point of view how you take into account these aspects, and have the relevant also disciplines involved in the research to guide the progress. Okay. In the platform, we want to use it to develop a concept for our proposal, but how can we learn about it, and how can it help our research activities? So to learn about it, so there is already ongoing activities in a project called AI for You, and then we have an additional 6 project working on developing an AI on demand platform. And on this existing platform, you already see one of the focus is on helping the researcher, and the other one is on helping the innovators. And we will then address each subpart. The first one on research, it will be under Horizon Europe, and the second part, which then serves the market and to distribute the AI innovation, which are ready to deploy, then it will be in another program, the Digital Europe program. And yeah, to know more about it, then I would invite you to go to the AI on demand platform, AI for You, where you will see how the current status. It's an open source platform, and yeah, it involves a very wide already AI communities. So feel free to visit them and contact them and discuss with them. Will there be an opportunity to ask questions regarding other proposal in destinations track 6, which are, I assume so, but the thing is today the focus is on the first calls. For the future one, maybe you can send us emails, and then we will see what is your specific question. I see that there is a human 24. There is an additional, there are 2 questions on the last 2 ones. So Jeanne, can you take those?
Yes, for sure. So on the first question, whether this can also, the development of tools and processes for design testing and validation, whether this can also focus on non-technical ones like diversity. In principle, yes, if you have a process for selecting more diverse subgroups or for reaching out to traditionally underrepresented communities, then that can be part of the tool or your process that you want to develop, but then also try to look at the technical side of it. And then for the second question, should you focus on one application area, like, or can you cover? Yes, so in the text, it clearly says you can look at either one of the three AI-based systems and clearly identify the use case or cases. So again, this could be just one, be very clear about it. And when those two use cases overlap, or when there's certain complementarities, then also make sure to mention that one. But indeed, it should make sense to look at these two use cases or more together.
I think there is a new question coming. 18, fostering standardization to boost European industry competitiveness, still valid, and whom the contact in the European Commission. The best one for getting the contact is to send us an email for that specific specific one, just to say that the standardization activities that we are targeting in this call is really focusing on the AI aspect, while I think the other standardization activities covers all the IT technologies in general. This one we really want to work on the AI related activity, also because there is no AI regulatory framework, and then for that we also would need to develop standardization activities in parallel to support that. Cole mentioned complex system where people and AI interact in the community kind of manner. There are fairly few such systems in place, yet examples. Yes, we have a number of activity, or I mean, of examples where you have people interacting with AI together. You can also think of in social media, you have a lot of interaction with people, and if you then bring on board AI activities and disciplines, you could enrich the whole networking systems. And the same does apply if you have distributed AI systems. You can think of swarms robots and interacting with a number of people, for instance, in a team. And the same applies here. You have to understand the complexity of adding autonomy AI in the organization of the whole system, bringing artificial and human, contributing to the same objectives.
There are no more questions, Cecile.
Okay, good. Yes, then if there is no further questions, so I want again to thanks everybody, our colleagues and the audience for their interest and the question. And we'd like also to wish you, it's not luck, it's a lot of work to build very strong proposal. The competition is tough, and so you should really build a top class proposal to have a chance. If if it's not well prepared, I'm afraid you're wasting your time. So it's very important to make the best effort and only decide to send a proposal if it's top quality. So thank you again for everybody, and feel free to contact us if you need more information. Thank you to everybody again.
Good morning, everyone. This is Gemma Carolillo. I am the Deputy Head of the Next Generation Internet Unit at DG Connect in the European Commission. I'm going to do a brief introduction to the Next Generation Internet Initiative, which is already running since a few years, so that you get an overview of what NGI is, and unless you are already familiar with it, and you also get a better understanding on whether this is a match for your profile in case you intend to apply for Horizon Europe call. So what it is NGI, the Next Generation Internet? This is an initiative which in a way pioneered a vision that puts the human at the center of the Internet, the so-called human-centric approach. This involves shaping new technologies in such a way that they incorporate by design European values such as privacy and trust, decentralization, inclusion, and sustainability. The COVID-19 pandemic, the time we are living in, further emphasized that to run our economy and society, we need a resilient internet that is anchored in European values. This is expected by citizens and businesses to have an internet infrastructure that is highly secure and resilient. During the past years, the technologies NGI focused on are mostly those that you see on screen. So electronic identity, personal data, blockchain, search and discovery, and internet architecture. Since its launch, the NGI initiative has achieved significant progress. This is in particular in relation to shaping this vision of a human-centric internet and turning this vision into research and innovation priorities. But then there is the key element of NGI, which is this investment from the EU side in a growing and dynamic community of internet researchers and innovators. This community has delivered the first concrete technology solutions in key areas, as just mentioned, language accessibility, privacy enhancing technologies, decentralized data governance, and more. But another important element which received the support of our projects is the activity of awareness raising. So we made sure that NGI is now a known initiative among policymakers and in the research communities and in the startup community. An important element which is common to several of our projects is that there is a fil rouge on open source. This is both on software and on hardware. The idea behind is to allow collective improvement and trust. Because NGI is promoting a decentralized vision of the internet, where end users have control over their data and their online transactions, underpinning user-centric business models. In terms of the funding, NGI is using the structure with the grants, but with a peculiarity. So we use the cascading funding, which will be explained in detail in the next sessions. So this means that there are a few research and innovation projects which apply to the call, and then they manage the actual research and innovation actions. That this allows to keep the administrative procedures for the internet innovators pretty low. At the same time, we envisage the research and innovation cycles pretty short, also with the possibility to have several calls in the course of each year. There is also a strong orientation to the product and to have impactful research. The current landscape of the next generation internet is here summarized. The EU invested more than 250 million in the period between 2018 and 2020. We have achieved so far a community of more than 600 individual innovators that take part to more than 400 individual projects. So this is something which is very important for us, this community. We really find that the next generation internet is the place where different perspectives and competencies, from policy to technology development, from civil society to industry, meet to deliver on this vision of human-centric and sustainable internet. As you can see, the type of awardees that we have almost 60% are natural persons, so individual innovators. Then we have SMEs, research organization, higher education, and other public sector or non-profit. This is the typical profile of NGI awardees. We have at the moment 11 research and innovation action, 2 coordination actions which support the initiative from the policy and from the outreach side, and a wide range of topics already covered so far, from data governance to privacy enhancing technologies, data portability and services, self-sovereignty identity, blockchain technologies, and technologies improving search. I have spoken so far about what is NGI, giving you the main facts and figures about this program as well as the vision behind. However, I would like to mention an important part. So who's NGI? We really like to highlight the fact that NGI is made up of the people who work for this initiative and under this initiative. In particular, I would like to highlight 2 elements. First of all, that we have an ambassador program composed by a group of experts in different fields, from artificial intelligence to cybersecurity, distributed ledger technologies, and this group contributes to the dialogue and growth of NGI community. These ambassadors adhere and represent the values at the core of the human-centric internet, and they have also a proven online presence and influence to help communicate the values behind NGI and its results. So this is important because you can check the program, check who the ambassadors are, and also get a flavor of what it means to become an ambassador for NGI. But then I invite you in particular to have a look at the series of blogs about who's NGI. They portray some of our successful innovators, and they can be a source of inspiration for different reasons. First of all, they also explain from the point of view of an applicant why and how NGI has made a difference for them, in particular also focusing on the difference in the process of applying to an NGI grant in comparison to other form of funding, but also the difference in terms of the support that they received throughout the program. And the other element is, of course, also to learn about the experience in the implementation from the different innovators. Now, we have looked at NGI today. Let's look at very briefly at NGI in the future under Horizon Europe. We have a renewed investment from the European Union for NGI under Horizon Europe for the period 2021-2022. 62 million are earmarked for support to top internet innovators. We have chosen to go in continuity with some of the topics we have invested so far, but also to explore new avenues. The areas that are present under NGI for the Horizon Europe programming period are trust and data sovereignty on the internet, trustworthy open search and discovery, NGI collaboration, the Transatlantic Fellowship Program, NGI community building and outreach, and the NGI technical review. I will now close here my presentation, and I strongly invite you to follow the other presentation, which will provide the details on each of these areas, but also provide information about our model of financing for third parties. Thank you very much, and I wish you a good day.
Hello, I'm Jorge Gasos from DG Connect Next Generation Internet Unit. In this presentation, I'm going to explain how we are using the instrument for financial support to third parties in the Internet of Trust part of the work program. First, I want to explain why in our case we need a presentation on financial support to third parties. This is an instrument that is used in many parts of the program, but we are using it in a slightly different way than in other areas. The most common use of financial support to third parties is in a research and innovation action where a consortium performs their research and then they use a small part of the budget to bring end users to their system or to get developers to deploy services or applications in their platforms. In our case, we are using financial support to third parties in a different way, since in our projects the main aim is to engage innovators through this instrument, and these third parties are the ones that are performing the research, and most of the project funding will be allocated to them. In the next slides, I will present how this works. Before, just wanted to indicate that this way of using financial support to third parties applies to 3 of our topics. The one on trust and data sovereignty on the internet, the one on international collaboration, transatlantic fellowship program, and the first research area of open search and discovery that focuses on advanced methods of search and discovery. The second research area of this topic is following the other model for financial support to third parties, where the consortium can perform the research and use just a small part of the budget to get end users and innovators to participate in their activities. Before explaining the implementation details, I wanted to explain first why we are using this model. In our case, we want to support internet innovators. These are communities that are driving many internet developments and are not participated well in our research activities. One example is open source developers that are making major contributions at the level of internet infrastructures and applications and are not well represented in our programs. Another example are high-tech startups that are generating many innovative internet developments, and they are also not well represented in our programs. By using financial support to third parties, we can facilitate their participation, since it allows a single legal entity or individual to have a project, and also it reduces the administrative procedures for their participation. This allows a very flexible and dynamic way of funding research based on short research and innovation cycles and with a clear orientation towards the practical use of their results. Now, on the implementation details, we have to make a clear distinction between the current calls that are to select the consortium that will run the FSTP program. This is the upper part of the slide. And the open calls that these selected projects will run in the future to select the internet innovators that will perform the specific research. This is the bottom part of the slide. The 3 calls that I mentioned before and that are open now are to select the consortia that will run the FSTP program in those specific areas. This implies that this project will have to run a number of activities. The definition of the content of the calls for third parties, they have to get in contact and attract the specific community, to do all the evaluation process and the monitoring of the third-party projects, and also to provide them some additional services like mentoring, coaching, or support to standardization. The organizations that apply to this call, we are expecting that are well known in that research area, so that they can attract and engage with the relevant communities of innovators in the area. So if you are a researcher, a developer, a startup that want to do the research in these areas, you will have to wait until these projects are selected and they launch their open calls. The current calls that are open now are targeting exclusively those organizations that will run the FSTP program in the specific areas. In the next presentations, we will provide you with more detailed information on each of our topics that are open now for submission of proposals.
Hello and welcome to this session on trust and data sovereignty on the Internet. My name is Jean-Luc Dorel from Connect, Unit E3 Next Generation Internet. First, few words on Next Generation Internet initiative that aims at supporting a vision of an internet that is centered around humans, where users have choices in sharing and accessing services and information. The focus is on internet innovators from open source communities, academic research groups, high-tech startups, SMEs, and other multidisciplinary actors. The orientation is an impactful research where short cycles brings technology and research to the market and to the internet infrastructure. And this is implemented through cascading, where the EC selects intermediaries that in turn, through agile programming and flexible implementation, give the money to third parties that actually do the research. Let me now focus on the trust and data sovereignty on the internet topic that precisely implement this model. In general terms, the EU is one of the most advanced regions in the world when it comes to data protection, cybersecurity, or electronic identities. And this topic wants to leverage this leadership for implementing architectures, protocols, and services that ensure end users can exert their rights, for example, under GDPR, like the right to information, the right to access, the right for rectification, portability, etc., and benefit from decentralized technology solutions that ensure they are fully in control of their personal data on the internet. The scope is related to, on one hand, the development of new technology and data governance model for increased trust, privacy, and user control of personal data and identity on the internet, leveraging decentralized and self-sovereign identity approaches, empowering the end users, and enabling user-centric business and sustainability models. On the other hand, solutions should enable the portability of personal datasets and allow the users to transfer or share such data with organizations of their choice for purpose and under conditions they decide and control. An example is related to data altruism, where people can share under the conditions information to a given organization for a given purpose. Finally, proposals should contribute to a trusted digital identity ecosystem that is in line with the European regulatory framework, that is platform independent and user-centric, and that contributes to building a secure European digital identity. The purpose is to enable individuals to effectively own, manage, and control their digital identity and make it the passport to the digital society. The proposal should support open source software and open hardware. It's a clear statement from the work program, as well as opening access to data, standardization activity, access to testing and operational infrastructure, IPR regime for ensuring lasting impact and reusability of the results. Finally, this topic has a focus on internet technology developed for end users, for example, and including electronic identities, and built upon open source development by internet innovators. It complements the activity of Destination 3, notably in relation to European data space, for example, technology for data pooling, sharing, and reuse, as well as those of Cluster 3 in relation to privacy and online data management. In terms of expected outcome, first is an increased trust, privacy, and user control when exchanging and accessing personal data on the internet. It's a trusted electronic identity ecosystem, fostering universal, interoperable, accessible, and user-centric digital identity as passport to the digital world and society. It's a European ecosystem of top internet innovators with the capacity to set the course of the internet evolution according to a human-centric approach. And its new business and sustainability models based on decentralized technology and open source. A very important point, this topic implement a financial support to third party. The consortium should support third parties projects from outstanding open source innovators, academic research group, high-tech startups, SMEs, and other multidisciplinary actors, so that the multiple actors are funded and collectively contribute to the increasing trust and data sovereignty of the Internet. Apps and services that innovate without a research component are not covered by this topic. Very important, the primary purpose of this session is precisely to support and mobilize these Internet innovators. Hence, 80% minimum of the total requested EU contribution should be allocated to financial support to third party, selected through open calls. The consortium should provide, in that context, the program logic for the third party project, ensure the coherence and coordination of this project, provide the necessary technical support, as well as coaching, mentoring, in order to ensure that the collection of third-party projects contributes to significant advancement and impact in the research and innovation domain, including in terms of standardization. Please note that this task cannot be implemented using budget earmarked for financial support to third party. In other words, the supports to third party, for example, in the area mentioned above, are part of the consortium budget. Some additional information. Beneficiaries should make explicit their intervention logic in the area, their capacity to attract Internet talents to deliver value-added services to the third party, as well as their expertise and capacity in managing the full cycle of open calls transparently and efficiently. Please note that we expect a minimum of 5 open calls during the lifetime of the project. The beneficiary should explore also synergy with other research and innovation action supported at regional, national, or European level to increase the overall impact. Please note that for ensuring focus effort, third party will be funded through projects of typically from 50 to 150,000 euro per project, with an indicative duration of 9 to 12 months. The support to third party can only be provided in the form of grants, so no prizes in this topic. Finally, for each third party, there is a maximum across the duration of the full action of 500,000 euros, notably for large research institutions or industrial organizations. Timing and conditions, as all the calls in the destination 6, the opening is 22nd of June. The call closure is 21st of October. For this topic, the budget is 12 million euro, and we expect to fund 1 research and innovation action as part of the call. Please keep in mind that this call is part of the more general NGI intervention logic, which includes RIAs, this one on trust and data sovereignty, but also another one on trustworthy open search and discovery as part of 2021 calls, as well as 3 support actions supporting the research and innovation action, the next generation Internet community building and outreach, the next generation Internet collaboration, transatlantic fellowship program, and the NGI tech review. Please get familiar yourself with this environment. There will be also in 22 another round of calls, including architecture, new architecture development, and international collaboration as a research and innovation action. Final few words. Keep in mind that the focus is on third parties, so in terms of expectation, the focus is really supporting the third party as opposed to having your own ID and developing a classical RIA. Reflect and articulate clearly the added value you bring to the third parties, because this is what is the work program is calling for. Please demonstrate an understanding of the open source, which is a requirement of this call. And finally, get familiarized yourself with the NGI logic and the ecosystem, notably the supporting action, with whose you will have to collaborate. With that, thank you very much for listening. Hello and welcome to this session on trustworthy open search and discovery. My name is Jean-Luc Dorel from DG Connect, Unit E3 Next Generation Internet. First, few words on the Next Generation Internet initiative that aims to support the vision of an internet that is based on humans, where users have choices on the sharing of information as well as accessing information. The focus is on internet innovators from open source communities, academic research group, high-tech startups, SMEs, and other multidisciplinary actors. The orientation is impactful research, where short cycle of research and innovation can quickly bring to the market and to the internet infrastructure. It implements cascading grants, where the EC selects intermediaries that in turn select the third parties that will actually do the research. The trustworthy and open search and discovery topic precisely implement this model, and the objective of this topic is to develop technologies and solutions enabling new and trustworthy ways of searching and discovering information on the internet across a variety of resources such as personal, scientific, industrial, and environmental data, connected devices, smart objects, services, multimedia content, intranet, and other IT resources, both public and private. It also aims at empowering end users, including through agents acting on their behalf, to share and discover more data and reliable information sources while preserving their privacy and increasing public trust in search results. Proposals should focus on advancing state-of-the-art in one of the two research areas below. First research area, advanced methods of search and discovery. Second, improving search and discovery infrastructure. So please make your choice and select and clearly indicate that in the proposal which of the two areas you are dealing with. For the first research area, the scope is on advanced methods of search and discovery. This includes a number of technology and new approaches related to voice, uncognitive search, related to AI-based taxonomies, semantic analysis, network analysis, social compute and data visualization, enabling new ways of discovering and accessing, and integrating energy efficiency. Please note that under this research area, proposals will support third parties projects from outstanding open source innovators, academic research groups, high-tech startups, SMEs, social innovators, and other multidisciplinary actors, so that multiple actors are funded and collectively contribute to building a more open and trustworthy and user-centric search and discovery ecosystem. Please note that for this research area, the primary purpose is to support and mobilize internet innovators. Hence, a minimum of 80% of the total EU contribution should be allocated to support these third parties through open calls. Beneficiaries in that context should make explicit their intervention logic. For example, their capacity to attract internet talents, to deliver added value services to third parties, as well as to demonstrate expertise and capacity in managing the full cycle of open calls transparently and efficiently. Please note that a minimum of 5 open calls during the lifetime of the project are expected. They should also explore synergy with other research programs and innovation action at regional, national, or European level to increase the overall impact. For the second research area, the focus is on improving search and discovery infrastructure, with the view to increasing European sovereignty in future search and discovery and recommendation system. Project could notably design and pilot distributed search infrastructure with a strong focus on sustainability, security, reliability, interoperability, and trust. So on the research area number 2, the focusing is on piloting and designing infrastructure. Please note that in order to integrate third-party contribution, a minimum of 50% of the total requested EU contribution should be allocated to financial to support third party selected through open calls. That's it for the specifics of the two research areas. They share both common scope. So in both cases, the proposal should support open source software and, if needed, hardware, and stimulate open access to data standardization activity, as well as an IPR regime that ensure a lasting impact and reusability of the results. The focus is on advanced research, so apps and services that innovate without a research component are not covered by the topic. There should be also a good demonstration of the scientific understanding of collective intelligence methodologies that are important to innovate beyond state-of-the-art in search and recommendation system. Please note that this action is expected to contribute to a general media plan, the Media Action Plan, which aims at supporting the digital transformation and collaboration within the social media industry. In terms of outcomes, empowered citizen and company able to search and discover information, data, smart objects, resources, people online with increased security, accuracy, diversity, and transparency in search results, while preserving the privacy of end users. Second outcome, increase European competitiveness and sovereignty in future search and discovery system with a strong focus on serving end users' needs, including privacy, providing trustworthy and pluralistic recommendation, and increasing public trust in search results. Third, a European ecosystem on top internet and social media innovators with the capacity to change the internet according to the human-centric approach and the values that we have. Finally, new business and sustainability models based on this improved access to online data and objects and resources and open source. Few additional financial support to third party, which applies to both research areas. In all cases, the consortium should provide a program logic for third parties project, ensure the coherence and coordination of these projects, and provide the necessary technical support as well as coaching and mentoring in order to ensure that the collection of the third-party projects contribute to a significant advancement and impact in the research and innovation domain, including standardization. Please note that these tasks cannot be implemented using the budget earmarked for the financial support to third parties. In other words, should be implemented through the consortium budget. For ensuring a focused effort, the project size is in a range of 50 to 150,000 euros per project for 9 to 12 months duration. Please note that the support to third party can only be provided in the form of grants, so no prizes for this topic. Finally, there is a limit of 500,000 euros per third parties, for example, in the case of large research groups or industrial group. Please note that this action is part of a larger NGI logic, where there is another call for trust and data sovereignty, research and innovation action, and a number of support actions: next generation internet community building and outreach, NGI internet international collaboration, transatlantic fellowship program, and the NGI tech review. Please familiarize yourself with this environment, as the trustworthy open search and discovery projects will deal with this environment, especially the support action. Few final words. Proposals should clearly identify the research area they are addressing. There are two, and please make sure it is clear which one you address. Please follow the template that will be given and articulate your plans for each part, and with a special attention on horizontal actions, which are part of the proposal and the template. Pay special attention to bias in search, which is a common issue, and to make sure that the search that you fund will have some attention to these aspects. For the first research area, keep in mind the focus on third parties. So proposals are expected to support and select third parties, as opposed to have an idea and ask third party to build on these ideas. Reflect and articulate clearly what added value you bring to the third parties. Finally, get familiar with the NGI logic and NGI ecosystem, and notably the CSAs. Thank you very much for listening.
Hello, I'm Jorge Gasos from DG Connect Next Generation Internet Unit, and I'm going to present the coordination and support action for Next Generation Internet community building and outreach. This is a call for proposals to support the Next Generation Internet initiative. The main objective of this initiative is to support a human-centric Internet driven by values such as openness, privacy in accessing and sharing information, inclusion, decentralization, etc. The focus of the Next Generation Internet initiative is on engaging Internet innovators. These are communities that are driving many Internet developments and were not participating in our activities. One example are open source developers that are making major contributions at the level of Internet infrastructures and applications and were not well represented in our programs. Another example are high-tech startups that are producing many innovative Internet technologies and were not engaged in our activities. The Next Generation Internet initiative has also a strong focus on research leading to technology development. For example, on Internet architectures, decentralized technologies such as blockchain, or technologies for electronic identification or privacy preservation. At the same time, NGI has a clear impact orientation, and we're implementing short research validation cycles to quickly bring research results to the market. In this context, proposals in this topic will support the European Commission in stakeholder engagement and community building. One important target group are the Internet innovators that will participate in our research activities, but also policymakers, Internet end users, and citizens at large to develop and implement the next generation Internet vision of a human-centric Internet. The proposal will liaise with similar initiatives at national and regional levels, promoting stakeholder engagement, particularly Internet innovators who are new to the EU programs. The aim is to ensure diverse participation, including from neighboring countries, and also including dedicated activities to promote involvement of women innovators. Another important area of activity for the proposal is branding and marketing, including extensive online and social media presence of the Next Generation Internet Initiative, press coverage, and participation at key events. In addition, the project will coach other European projects, in particular those supporting the Internet innovators in effective communication and marketing. As for the expected outcomes, these are building an active community of Internet innovators and other relevant stakeholders that can drive the Internet evolution according to a human-centric approach. In addition, supporting this next generation Internet vision through the different project activities such as communication and marketing or stakeholder engagement. Regarding timing and conditions of the call will close on the 21st of October 2021. The total indicative budget for the topic is 2 million euros, and the Commission considers that proposals of 2 million euros and 36 months duration will allow these outcomes to be addressed appropriately. However, it is always possible to submit proposals with different amounts or durations. To finalize this presentation, it is important to emphasize that this is a call for a coordination and support of the Next Generation Internet Initiative, so the successful project will have to work very closely with the Next Generation Internet Research and Innovation actions, with the other coordination and support actions in the area, as well as with the community of Internet innovators. Thank you for your interest. Hello, I am Jorge Gasos from DG Connect Next Generation Internet Unit. Welcome to this session that is going to focus on Next Generation Internet international collaboration, and in particular for the call for proposals for a transatlantic fellowship program. I will start this presentation with a short background on the Next Generation Internet Initiative. This is an initiative that is supporting the development of a human-centric Internet where users have choices both in accessing and in sharing information. The focus of our activities is on Internet innovators. These are open source communities, academic research groups, high-tech startups, SMEs, and other multidisciplinary actors who are not normally participating in our research program, but they have a strong contribution to the developments in the Internet. The focus of our project is on impact orientation. This, we are doing it through short research and validation cycles to quickly bring research results to the market. For this, we are using the cascading grants model, and in this moment we are calling for consortia that will implement the transatlantic fellowship programs through open calls for fellowships through an agile programming and flexible implementation. Let's focus now on the content of this call for a transatlantic fellowship program. As a background, we have been collaborating in the last years with relevant US and Canada research funding organizations in the area of next generation Internet. In this call, we aim to reinforce this collaboration and to facilitate exchanges among EU, US and Canadian researchers and innovators. This will be done through a fellowship program for Europeans to travel, work and collaborate with US and Canadian counterparts. The focus will be on promoting technology development, but also on sharing and knowledge and on establishing long-term collaborations in next-generation Internet technologies, services and standards. With respect to the content, the main focus will be on trust and data sovereignty, Internet architectures, and on decentralized technologies. With respect to the implementation of the fellowship program, this will be done through short fellowships, 3 to 6 months, for Internet innovators, notably open source developers, academic researchers, high-tech startups, or SMEs. It is important to note that the fellowship program will only provide financial support for travel and subsistence. This means that this is not a program to do a postdoc or equivalent. This is a program to implement targeted research collaborations by fellows that receive their salary from their own university, company, research center, or wherever they are actually working. Also, it's important to note that only citizens from the EU and associated countries will be eligible for funding. As indicated before, the fellowship program will be implemented through cascade funding, known as financial support to third parties, and the consortium should use a minimum of 70% of the EU contribution to support the fellows that are selected through open calls. The proposals are expected to contribute to the following expected outcomes: an enhanced EU-US and EU-Canada cooperation in the development of next-generation Internet technologies, services and standards. Also in supporting the EU Internet policy objectives by sharing the EU vision and values with US and Canadian counterparts and forging bonds through concrete collaborations. Finally, building a transatlantic ecosystem of top researchers, high-tech startups, SMEs and Internet-related communities collaborating on the evolution of the Internet according to a human-centric approach. Regarding timing and conditions, the call will close on the 21st October 2021. The total indicative budget for the topic is €2 million, and the Commission estimates that the EU contribution of around €2 million will allow these outcomes to be addressed appropriately. Of course, this does not preclude submission and selection of proposals requesting different amounts. In a similar way, the indicative duration for the project is 36 months, but this is just indicative and it's possible to submit proposals with different durations. Thank you very much for your interest.
Hello, welcome to this information session on NGI Tech Review. My name is Jean-Luc Dorel from DG Connect, Unit Next Generation Internet. A few words on the Next Generation Internet. This initiative aims at supporting the vision of an Internet that is based on human, an Internet where users have choices in accessing and sharing. The focus is on Internet innovators from different environments, open source communities, academic research group, high-tech startups, SMEs, and other multidisciplinary actors. This is aiming at impactful research where short cycles of innovation is brought to the market and to the Internet infrastructure. And finally, it implements a cascading model where the EC is funding intermediaries that in turn funds researchers and innovators that implement and work on given action and topics. Let's focus now on NGI Tech Review. The background for this is related notably to the COVID-19, where it appears that for developing a given system, for instance, in relation to tracing apps or in relation to certificates of vaccines, a number of specialists are needed, the one that master applications, QR code, Bluetooth, and tracing apps, for instance, but also governments put in place mechanisms for maturing solution developed, for example, in the area of security through security audits, or in the area of accessibility of the software through accessibility standards. Hence, it appears that an open environment where there's different experts, innovators who would join is very much needed and would allow to stimulate collaboration on one hand and mature solutions through specific maturing services such as privacy or security. In terms of scoping, the objective is to precisely have an open environment, bringing these different innovators and allowing them to develop on one hand, but also to test and improve solutions through open source technologies. The work program is relatively specific on what activities can be funded. It is the setting up and operation of the open collaborative environment, including the needed IT infrastructure. This is also the activities related to the take-up and management of communities on given subjects and ensuring there is synergy and joint working. And finally, it's supporting these innovators through a broad range of services, including quality, security, accessibility, privacy, licensing, or documentation. Please note that the funding does not cover the funding of development of the solution. This has to be from another source. The outcomes are twofold. One is increasing the value and maturity of technology being developed through the different services I mentioned in addressing key societal challenges such as response to pandemic, climate change, disinformation, or protection of privacy. That's our priorities of the Commission, and improving the collaboration among the different players and innovators, which can be about testing, developing, and improving solutions. Timing and condition, as all calls for this destination, the opening is on 22nd of June, call closure 21st of October. The budget for this topic is 1.5 million, and we expect to support one CSA as a result of this call. We expect also a duration of 36 months that would be that would allow to fulfill the objective of this call. Final word, this is part of the NGI initiative. So if you are not familiar, please get familiar with the NGI logic and the NGI ecosystem, as the researchers selected in NGI are primary targets for this ecosystem, for this topic. Keep in mind it is an horizontal action, so it's about serving projects and innovators and demonstrate understanding of open source as it is a requirement of the call. Thank you very much.
Okay, like this, we finished the different presentations about the topics in the Internet of Trust section of the work program. And now we have, thank you for your attention, and we have received a number of interesting questions. So we will try to answer them. Let's start with the first one. It relates to topics in advanced methods of search and discovery. And the question is in this first research area, if these are more use case focused and oriented towards innovation algorithms and methods, or if it is flexible. Well, the way we have structured this part of the work program is in two separate research areas. One is related to the infrastructure for search. This could be related to web indexes, etc. And the second one is on the algorithms and methods that will run on these infrastructures. So this is a clear split in the work program that affects the content, but also the instrument that we are using for the implementation. In terms of the infrastructure, because of being an infrastructure project, we are using the more classical way of research and innovation projects, where we have a consortium that will work on these developments, and then we are using third parties only for a very small part of the budget, while in the part that you are indicating, the advanced methods of search and discovery, these are clearly with a focus on innovators, on researchers, on open source developers, and here we are clearly this part of the topic is more related to methods, algorithms, etc. Normally, this is related to use cases, but it doesn't need to be exclusively about a particular use case. We can also, people can also apply to develop generic technologies, okay, that could be applied to a number of different use cases. So this is relatively open. I also wanted to mention that in our call, in the way we are working with the FSTP, what we are defining is the overall area, okay, for the call, and then it will be the successful project when they launch their different open calls that will be much more precise in defining the terms of reference for that call, and then they can be much more specific about the specific things that they will be looking for. Okay, and there was a second question related to this same topic that was really asking about what is the split in percentage between infrastructure and topic and methods topic. Now, for the whole topic itself about search and discovery, we have 17 million euros, and this is a fixed amount, okay? And then at the beginning of this topic in the work program, we have indicated that in principle, the Commission considers that proposals about 8% 3.5 million euros could allow to achieve the objectives of the different research areas that we are talking about. So that means that from our side, I mean, this is the kind of a split we are considering, but this is an estimation. So proposals, as is indicated there, proposers can then come with the amounts that they consider. Also in terms of duration, for example, we provide an estimation, but then proposers can adapt to it. The only thing that is completely fixed is the total amount for the topic, which is 17 million euros. Now, there is a question about travel and subsistence subject to the fellows' home institution rules or other rules. This relates to the transatlantic fellowship program, okay, where we have indicated that we can only cover travel and subsistence costs. Now, the way that you implement, or the people who apply can implement it, can be done in very different ways, okay? So it can, the project can follow the home institution rules, or the project can define their own rules in terms of fixing the travel and subsistence. Prior experience shows that some projects have been using the home institution rules because that is easier for them, because then you pass to the home institution the checking that the costs are accounted and really existed, etc. So it's the home institution who has to provide this kind of, will do a number of check-ins that you will not have to do. But the project could also in principle define their own rules, but then the project will be in charge of making sure that everything that was according to this. No? Even if the home institution has don't follow the rules of the home institution, then of course the project will have to do some check-ins, but the work for the project normally is less than if you fix your own rules, but it's up to each proposer to define the way they want to work with it. There is a question about should SSA and integration of gender dimension be part of all proposals within Destination 6 calls? Well, this is a more wider question, not only for this topic. Regarding gender, because, for example, if you look to the proposals and to the topics about Internet of Trust, there are some that have been defined that these are not affected by the gender, while there is one in the research and innovation areas, which is the search topic, which the one that is has to be addressed. This is because search, in principle, can be different in the case depending on the gender, and then there might be some factors that may have an influence. On the other hand, if you are talking about internet architectures, okay, in principle, this is independent of the gender, apart from the fact that more researchers or innovators are male or female, but this is another issue. The way this is addressed in the work program is that the topics that in the content may have a gender dimension have to address this. And in our case, this was highlighted for the search topic because this could be. Now, what we have done regarding gender, because of course, this is an issue when we have this third-party approach, when we are supporting hundreds and in this moment, for example, 1,000 of innovators. So it starts to be important that we have a distribution in terms of gender, but also across Europe, for example. This is not only gender, that we try to balance, or not to balance, but at least to make sure that there is a significant participation, for example, across the different countries. And if there is not a significant participation, to make sure that if this is the case, it's because people don't apply, but not because people don't have access to the information or don't have the same possibilities because they live in a certain region or not. So for this, for example, if you see the topic on community building and outreach, so in this topic, we are asking for specific actions to make sure that issues related to that they can take some actions versus gender, but also versus the across Europe, that there is a community building actions to make sure that all countries have the same opportunities in terms of participating to this program. Now, there is a question regarding to Gaia X is not mentioned in the work program. Now, while it is a framework for European data space projects. Now, in our case, we are not building data spaces, okay, we are developing privacy enhancing technologies, and we are also developing electronic identification, digital credential technologies, etc. So in principle, we are open and propose, and when people can present proposals, you have to take into account that now we are looking for those who will run the project, and then when they launch the calls, then they will have to assess the proposals that they receive. But in principle, we could, in the moment of the open calls, we could receive proposals that are linked to Gaia X, or we can receive proposals that are linked to some other specific technologies regarding related to privacy enhancing technologies that are not necessarily linked to data spaces, okay, and they don't need to be particularly linked to Gaia X. So we are open about it. It's not a requirement, certainly, and that's why we have not put it as a requirement in the call for proposals, but then it will be a matter to see in the implementation of the project how, to what extent this is done. We have here NGI review looks at addressing societal challenges. But what about the other calls? Shouldn't they also do it? Impact section of the proposal. Okay, this one I don't, honestly, I don't know if it's a question for us. So I cannot answer, okay, what in other calls they are doing. So it's a little bit difficult to answer this one. And I think I addressed all of them. Now, I know there is a last question that I need to answer, and the question is if the maximum FSTP grant of 500,000 per subgrantee, does this apply to a particular NGI project, or does it apply to the whole NGI initiative? Okay, so in principle, first let's make a comment about this. This is a maximum. The spirit of the topic, okay, of NGI is not that people apply continuously. We are trying to support a large number of innovators through small grants, so it's not that people apply to all the projects systematically and then a small number of people are funded multiple times. Now, why we included this 500,000 limit, okay, which is higher than the normal one that is used for FSTPs. This is because we found that there are some very large organizations, okay, like for example, large research centers. Some examples could be Fraunhofer, INRIA, large universities, etc., where if we didn't have this limit, if one researcher gets a grant, then automatically no one else in the whole university or in the whole organization could get a second grant, okay? And then we found that this was unfair, okay? So this was the reason why we included this limit in terms of the funding. Now, this limit applies to the project. On the other hand, we are trying also to check across projects to make sure that, I mean, this doesn't become a systematic process for a few players to be funded continuously across and to make sure that if people are funded across several projects, that the proposals are clearly completely different and they have an added value, so that we don't get similar kind of proposals through different projects through multiple times. And I think this is the last question. Yep. Okay. So if there is nothing else, I think with this, we are going to close this session. Thank you very much for your interest. Thank you very much for your questions. And we are looking forward to receive your proposals.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anne Bajar. I'm working in DG Connect in Unit G2, dealing with interactive technologies. And I'm very happy to be with you today to introduce you to this session on the extended reality calls in Horizon Europe. So in a minute, you are going to see 5 presentations by my colleagues about the different calls and what we are expecting from the community to answer the very important challenges related to extended reality. And I would like to give you first just a brief overview of the big picture around this set of calls. So this is basically the follow-up of the NGI Interactive Technologies course that we had in Horizon 2020. But this is now in Horizon Europe clearly focusing on extended reality, meaning that we consider how to interact better with our environment and the real world by adding a layer of data. We have a couple of calls in 2021 and 2022. We have some research and innovation action where we are going to develop further some basic technology very much needed still to be able to develop applications. And we will also have a set of innovation actions where we will cover important sector that we have identified together with the stakeholders. So we have calls on media, we have call on collaborative telepresence and call on learning, plus a call as well on haptics and inclusivity and how to support people who are disabled when interacting with machines. So this is, we hope, an interesting session for you. If you have any question, there is a Slido chat in which you can ask any of the questions you have, and we will try to answer at the end of the session. So you have the time of the 5 videos to post your questions, and then we will do a large Q&A at the end, because maybe some questions will also be common between calls. So the first presentation is about the call 0113. It's extended reality modeling. This is a research and innovation action. And this is my colleague Philippe Gelin from DG Connect G3, who is going to introduce you to this call.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. In this session, I will present the call related to extended reality modeling, the number Horizon CLA4 UMAN 0113. As important information, please note that the budget of the call is 14.5 million euro. We expect project of around 4 to 6 million funding, and this project will be implemented as research and innovation action, and that the related technology readiness level of this action are expected to be between 2 and 5. So rather fundamental research project. What do we try to achieve with this call? Well, we expect the European Union to take the lead in the infamous race for AI and ensure that the European way of life is enshrined in the service developed and provided in the future. For that, we need to be ready for the next wave of AI models, the large-scale extended reality models. Such models will have, of course, an increased level of interaction and result in an extra level of context awareness. It will be able to provide explainable autonomous decision, while, of course, ensuring full human control and privacy. Finally, but not the least, we also need to ensure that the resulting services are fully accessible. This call is not only about doing research for the pleasure of doing research. The project should lead into the development of the full technological ecosystem. It should develop the required tool, process, and methodologies to research, develop, and produce such models and its derived services. In other words, it's expected that the project will deliver a full chain of development. Time is in the essence. Extended reality is not about building augmented reality glass to hunt red and white balls, or establishing a 3D cave to design fancy cars. It's really about extending the user perception in all his or her daily situations. And this could not be achieved if we take into account only the duration of the experience. To be efficient, such solutions need to take into account the past, the present, and the future. Take, for instance, your future virtual assistant and a video conference. To be efficient, the service will need to, before, to analyze the document received, during the session, to be able to follow the discussion and give on-the-fly suggestions, and after that, to be able to summarize the conclusion of the meeting. Why do we do all that? As you know, AI is making a lot of progress these days. And we have built tools so complex that we could even start to say that they understand us, or that they are able to derive meanings from our actions. This can be seen in our daily life: speech recognition, machine translation. Personal assistant has reached level of performance that, could we say, are close to be human. AI cover tasks that are more and more generic. While the first solution, we are targeting niche applications such as keyword spotting or sentence translation, AI systems are now becoming more complex and tackle more complex systems, handling tasks such as sentiment analysis, document translation, or summarization of the documents. And what we see appearing are combo solutions. Large AI models that are dealing at the same time with multiple tasks. For instance, translation models that can cope with multiple languages and take benefit of one language to improve the translation of other languages. This also goes across modalities. From a video, you can extract the audio and its related text and detect emotion from speech and faces. Another paradigm shift has appeared recently. Not only AI understands, but it also generates. Have you seen Mona Lisa recently chit-chatting on social media, or an AI system creating poems? You even have new models that think thanks to their trillion parameters. To sum it up, one can say that the advance in user modeling, environment modeling, and data analytics allow systems to be more context aware and better support user decision. What will the project assume to be doing? The target is really to build pre-trained extended reality models. The models must be capable of adapting to a large variety of forms of expression, interaction, languages, domains, styles, or intent. For that, it has to take into account its surrounding, its environment being real or virtual, the context of the event, the user preferences and abilities. Then, and only then, the model will increase the understanding of the environment and the user knowledge, preference, beliefs, abilities, intents, and goals. The project will also have to demonstrate the adaptation and generalization of the models, develop solutions capable of carrying genuine human-like interaction. But in addition, they will have to be able to integrate structural knowledge and prove that the models are used before, during, and after the experience. The project will also have to integration the solution in real user case scenarios. As example, we named media, collaborative telepresence, learning, personal assistant, or information retrieval. But the list is not limitative. It is important that the project support a large set of languages and modalities, enable new forms of interaction, avoid bias, and at the same time ensure accessibility, privacy, transparency, and explainability. What a to-do list, isn't it? But that's not all. The whole process will have to ensure that it is energy efficient when you train the model, but also when you use it. For that, typical routes can be envisaged. Algorithm, but also training protocol are essential to be optimized. Finally, the project will ensure that the results are reproducible, promote open data interface standardization to avoid narrow de facto standards, and demonstrate a clear, efficient integration path for the future service. I hope that this presentation helps you understand the ins and outs of this call. Thank you all for listening and watching me and the slides. Bye-bye now.
Thank you, Philippe. Very inspiring first presentation for our session. That's good. I hope it will generate a lot of interest and of questions also in our chat. So we are now going to the next call that we are going to present. This is the 0114. And this is my colleague Robin Massart, who is going to introduce you to the topic, which is extended reality for all - haptics. Robin, it's up to you.
Hello, my name is Robin Massat, and I will take you through the next topic in this Horizon Europe Info Day session on Destination 6, a human-centered and ethical development of digital industrial technologies. This topic is the second one in this session and is called XR for All, Haptics. The topic deals with creating haptic devices to support the deafblind and visually impaired in their interactions with digital and online content. First, a few administrative points on the topic. It is a research and innovation action and has a budget of around 6 million euros, with which we expect to fund one project. The technology readiness level for the project starts at 5, so technology validated in a relevant environment, and ends at 7, system prototype demonstration in an operational environment. So what are the expected outcomes of this topic? People with visual impairment still have serious difficulties in accessing digital information. This is a growing challenge as digital content becomes increasingly reliant on graphics, which are particularly challenging to translate into voice or tactile formats. Existing solutions are very costly and provide a limited reading experience, which is usually in Braille format and therefore not suitable for rendering graphics. With this in mind, the expected outcomes of the topic include an affordable and portable device with an instantly refreshable full-page interactive tactile display. The device should enable reading, editing, and navigating through digital content in both standard Braille and tactile graphics format, as required by the deaf-blind and visually impaired. Another outcome is to establish Europe as a world leader in developing accessibility solutions to ensure that these solutions are guided by our European values and our European way of life. The solution should enable the visually impaired and deaf-blind to meet their goals. For example, to understand and exchange different kinds of information or to independently navigate online with effectiveness, efficiency, and satisfaction in a user-friendly way. The scope of the topic covers a number of areas. The first of which is improving the rendering of non-text content through tactile interfaces. Currently, it is difficult to render certain types of information in a meaningful and useful way using Braille displays or text-to-speech technologies. These types of information include scientific formula, computer code, tabular data, photos, images, spatial information, maps, graphs, and infographics. Some of these can be reproduced using text-to-speech technologies and by extension Braille, but it is difficult to fully comprehend this information in that form. Others cannot easily be reproduced in text or spoken format at all. This topic aims to solve this by developing a multi-line or full-page refreshable Braille display. Such a device would help users to independently explore non-text information and content efficiently and with ease. Another area in scope is inclusion in remote learning and working environments. The increase in online learning and teleworking, especially in the current global circumstances, has highlighted the lack of tactile online interaction possibilities. This accessibility deficit increases the gap for the visually impaired and deaf-blind to play an equal part in the general workforce, as well as to have equal access to education. Thus, we expect the developed solution to function and integrate properly with current and future tele and video conferencing systems, as well as with online collaboration and learning environments. This will include relevant virtual, augmented, and extended reality environments. The next area in the scope of the topic is the usability and interoperability of the device. The developed solution must be easy to read, understand, perceive, and operate. Further, it must be reliable, robust, and safe to work with. Existing tactile solutions are limited to refreshable Braille displays that are bulky and/or too expensive as a consumer-level device. They also offer a limited reading experience by providing only a single line of characters at a time, and their output is generally slower than an experienced user's ability to read Braille. Therefore,
The time it takes for the display to update and present new content should not represent a significant disruption for the user. The refresh speed of the display must be adequate for meaningful use of the device, and this may depend on the chosen application with which the device is interacting. In addition, the noise level of the device must be low enough so as to avoid discrimination when using it in public spaces. The solution should be affordable and easily portable. It should allow wireless operations and be battery operable when not plugged in. The battery life should also allow for extended use whilst away from a mains power supply. The device should be in a full-page format to be able to convey and input digital information using both braille and tactile graphics. The design of the device must meet the needs and preferences of the visually impaired and the deaf-blind. The solution also needs to be interoperable with other ICT devices, including assistive technologies. It should provide open APIs for use by third parties. Further, the solution must allow for back translation of braille or tactile graphics to enable cooperation between those dependent on the device and those they are interacting with. The solution therefore must allow for communicating in both directions, that is, for reading and perceiving information, as well as for creating and uploading it. The solution must allow the users to input and manipulate content so that they can fully interact with the displayed information in an easy, efficient, and meaningful manner. Finally, the creation of the solution must involve the visually impaired and the deaf-blind in all stages of the research, development, and testing process. Their involvement in validating the solution is a minimum requirement of this topic, so we expect the reasons for the design choices made during the development of the solution to be backed by evidence-based data and validated in real-world environments. So that's it. Thank you very much for listening, and if you have any further questions, please do ask them now.
Thank you, Robin. An important topic, of course. Making the life of people easier and more comfortable in Europe. So thank you for that and your insights on it. So once again, if you have any questions, I encourage you to use the chat and to ask us whatever you want, and we will answer later on. So we are now already moving to the third call that we are going to present today. So we had 13 and 14, so far relatively logical. We now jump to 25. This is an innovation action on extended reality collaborative telepresence. And this is going to be a bit of a fun because I'm going to introduce myself as I am the next lucky speaker who has recorded a video. So that's me speaking to you in a different day and a different setup now. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Anne Bajar. I'm Deputy Head of Unit in DG Connect G2, and I'm going to present to you today what you see on this slide, giving you a picture of all the calls we have opened about extended reality this year. The call Human 0125 about extended collaborative telepresence. So more information are coming now. What do we expect? We expect the projects to be funded to establish European industry leadership in extended collaborative telepresence solutions, and with an important dimension, which is to ensure ethics, privacy, security, and safety, some very important European values, as you know. These slides show you the scope of what we expect to see. So there are different things that the proposal should address. The first one is the European competitiveness of the industry and the innovation capacity of Europe when it comes to the topic of extended reality collaborative telepresence. The second point is the adoption, so not only the development, but as well the adoption of European extended collaborative telepresence technologies, both in the professional and private spheres, and also to improve distant human-to-human interactions through wearables and ICT technologies. This topic is extremely important, and we all know him. We are experiencing it even today through this video conference with COVID-19 disruptions, the physical distancing, and the various lockdowns we have experienced in the last months. It's extremely important to sustain productivity of contactless activities and maintaining social bonds between people, workers, families, and so on. And of course, extended reality, immersive, collaborative telepresence is one way to do it. There are also the well-known climate and environmental concerns, which can be mitigated by teleworking and reduced travel that collaborative telepresence opportunities can offer. There are existing tools already, but there are also quite a number of issues and concerns when we talk about them. It's about the offer of functionalities, the interoperability between them and between systems, the efficiency of the tools, the versatility, the openness, the accessibility, so it means to be able for everyone to be able to access and use them, the security and the privacy, of course. So the goal of those proposals is really to make use as much as possible of extended reality standards and technologies, combining human-to-machine interactions, real, mixed, augmented, and virtual environments all together to provide accessibility, network, security, privacy, ideally at a low cost and with widely available solutions. The capacity to scale up by involving a high number of end users in a real test in real environments would be much appreciated in all the proposals. This slide shows you a couple of things that proposals should address. I would like to insist here that we don't expect every proposal to cover this full list, but several points up according to what you want developed. So issues that have been identified of interest are networking bandwidth and compression transmission for optimal end-to-end quality. A large number of simultaneous users who can use the application and the service. Different input-output modalities running from text to speech, 3D, AR, VR, audio, video, or even holography. Some additional services integration via open standards, recording, sharing documents, for example. The list is not exhaustive. Collaborative meetings, so working together remotely. Security and privacy, as I said already, extremely important for Europe. Interfaces, APIs based on open standards to guarantee openness and interoperability. H2H and H2M interaction for real-time and offline communication. XR for communication and collaboration experience. XR models for enhancing collaborative telepresence. Using haptics for improved intuitiveness and accessibility. Privacy and security of users, not only the system, but also the users. And to demonstrate integration paths for EU industry stakeholders. You can see the full list and all the details in the call text. This slide shows the conditions of the call. The indicative budget is 14 million euro in total, and we expect projects to be around 5 to 8 million euro, which means that we would most probably fund around 2 projects. The specific conditions are that we expect the TRL to run from 4 to 6, 7. This is an innovation action, so this is why we already go quite hard in the TRL. And the project will make use of the FSTP scheme with a minimum of 50% of the EU contribution dedicated to financial support to third parties, and with a maximum of 200,000 euro for each third party in the project. And it will be through grants exclusively. And as you should already know by now, the calls will open on the 22nd of June and will close on the 21st of October. Thank you very much for your attention. Well, thank you to myself. That's the funny part of it. We see questions arriving in the chat. If you can specify for which call you asked a question, this would be helpful, because I mean, some questions might be a bit general and we are not too sure. So please say for which call you asked a question, or if it's a general question. Thank you. So I'm now going to introduce the next presentation, which is from my colleague Adelina Dinu, who is going to talk to you about innovation for media, including extended reality. So this is another part of the work we are doing on extended reality, very much linked to the media action plan, as you are going to discover in a minute. Adelina, that's your turn.
Good afternoon. My name is Adelina Dinu. I'm working in the interactive technology sector in G2 unit in DG Connect. The topic I'm going to present you now is part of the 5 topics on extended reality under Destination 6 of the Horizon Europe program. It is an innovation action calling for innovation for media, including extended reality. The 2 priorities that this call wants to tackle are to foster the development of advanced solutions for the creation, distribution and consumption of new media products, including extended reality, as well as to foster the creation of a European Media Lab. Moreover, it is expected to support innovation in media through interdisciplinary cooperation involving various professional groups such as artists, designers, journalists and media professionals, filmmakers, game designers, programmers or academic researchers. The Commission considers that proposals with an overall duration of typically 30 months will allow these outcomes to be addressed appropriately. The Media Action Plan, published in December 2020, is aimed at supporting media industry recovery following the crisis generated by the COVID-19 pandemic. It has 3 areas: recovery, transformation, and enabling and empowerment. The transformation area includes innovation actions to support the transformation of media industry and the creation of a European virtual and augmented reality industrial coalition. Among the key components of such transformation, there are, on the one hand, the data know-how and innovation in modular open source media components, and on the other hand, the development of immersive technologies. Both entertainment and news media have great opportunities for groundbreaking innovations and inventive business models building on the potential of new technologies, including XR. 2 types of innovation proposals are expected. The first type relates to the development of new modular tools, components, and services addressing technical, organizational, commercial, and legal aspects of data management and usage for new media applications. The innovative solutions should be proven useful for the creation and distribution of new formats, in particular those using XR technologies. They should also be expandable or applicable to the media industry at large and have a potential to be consumed in new environments such as self-driving cars, intermodal transport and tourism. To this end, cooperation within the media sector and across different industrial sectors will be beneficial for the creation of synergies based on the use of data applications. Collaboration with the Digital Europe program, specifically the media data space, created to support media companies in sharing data and developing innovative solutions, will be encouraged already at its initiation phase. It is highly recommended full interoperability and deployability once the media data space becomes operational. The second type of actions covers the launch of a dedicated VR Media Lab to foster innovation and new solutions. The lab will develop and prototype solutions for the creation, distribution and consumption of new immersive VR and AR media products and foster innovation by exploring a range of uses for VR and AR technologies. It will bring together skills from a variety of disciplines, including technology and the creative sector, to develop new solutions for consumers, business and society. The VR Media Lab will support creative cooperation on projects that focus on new ways of storytelling and interacting through immersive media. For grants awarded under Type 2, beneficiaries should provide support to third parties in the form of grants. The funded third-party projects will focus on content for entertainment, culture, and news, as well as virtual and augmented reality applications in other industries such as tourism and fields such as education. Solutions developed as part of the VR Media Lab could result in new business models, technological solutions, spin-off companies, or partnerships. The total indicative budget for this call is 26 million euros. The expected EU contribution per project is 8 to 9 million euros. We expect to fund 3 projects. Activities are expected to start at technology readiness level 4 and achieve a TRL 8 by the end of the project. At least one proposal will be funded for the innovation type 1 with a maximum EU contribution of 9 million euros. For type 2, only one proposal will be funded with a maximum EU contribution of 8 million euros. A minimum of 70% of the total requested EU contribution should be allocated to financial support to third parties. Third parties in type 2 will be funded through projects typically in the 250,000 to 500,000 euros range per project, with an indicative duration of 12 to 15 months. The maximum amount per third party is 500,000 euros. The call for proposals opens on the 22nd of June and closes on the 23rd of October. Thank you very much for your attention. Good luck in preparing successful proposals that will help reach the expected outcomes of this call.
Thank you, Adelina. So, as you could see, we are covering many different things and many different aspects, and where we really do believe that extended reality can be an added value and bring new ways of interacting with our world, especially under the current constraints. So the next presentation is going to be our last one already. It's going to be 0128, Extended Reality, Ethics, Interoperability, and Impact. And this is a coordination and support action. So this is different from everything you have seen so far, as a sense that this is a proposal that is going to help us building further the community and building the topic really in Europe. This is going to be me speaking again. So, I'm going to give the floor to myself and to let you listen to this presentation.
So good afternoon. I'm Anne Bajar. I'm from DG Connect G2, where I'm Deputy Head of Unit. And I'm going to talk to you about this call, Extended Reality, Ethics, Interoperability, and Impact, Human 0128 in Horizon Europe. This is a coordination and support action. The expected outcomes, as described on this slide, are a strong and competitive ecosystems with European companies playing a leading role in the wider deployment, adoption, and acceptance of extended reality technologies, but also to provide Europe with improved quality of extended reality experiences and applications, combining human-machine interactions and real mixed, augmented, and virtual environments, ensuring ethics, privacy, security, and safety. This slide shows you more details about the scope of the proposals that we expect. So what we can say is that when you use extended reality, you have certain potential concerns raising. It's about ethics, security, privacy, and it's mainly due to the blurred frontiers that happen between the real and the immersive environments when you start touching both at the same time. It can be about harmful physical problems, but also emotional and cognitive after effects when you use immersive technologies for a long time. It's also about the large amount and the type of data collected by any extended reality systems. It's also about the interoperability and the safety of those tools when they are used together or used in connection with other systems. And another important component of what we expect the proposal to do is keep on structuring and supporting the XR community in Europe, which is slowly but surely developing. So the proposal will, as this slide indicates, devise responsible practices and guidance, helping XR developers and producers to respect ethics and privacy values, and ensure the safety of users. It will ultimately define a European cross-industry code of conduct, so it means for different sectors, for extended reality technologies and solutions, while encouraging developers and producers to adhere to it. So it's not just about defining, it's about building together a code of conduct that people will be happy to adhere to and to use. It's also about proposing new or adapting already existing rating systems to support users in choosing the right extended reality experiences and applications according to their needs, their sector, and the possibilities they have. So it's really to help deploying and using extended reality where it can bring something. The proposal will also, as this second slide shows, gather relevant evidence to help guarantee the respect of the European legal framework on personal data protection, taking into account the complexity and particularities of extended reality technologies, and there are many, as soon as we talk about moving to virtual, augmented, or mixed world. It's about contributing also to the definition of industry standards on extended reality, ensuring interoperability and seamless integration with other relevant systems, technologies, and data sources. And finally, it's about helping to forge a competitive and sustainable ecosystem of the European extended reality technologies industry in Europe by strengthening the links and promoting collaborations among the constituency. The conditions of the calls are explained on this slide. The indicative budget is of €2.5 million in total, and we expect one project to be funded. It's a coordination and support action, and the call opens on the 22nd of June to close on the 21st of October. Thank you for your attention.
All right, so this concludes our set of presentations, and we are going to have a short question and answers session now. There are a couple of questions on the chat, which I'm going to address now, because basically they are concerning the call on collaborative telepresence, which I covered today. So the first question is about the FSTP. And the person who is asking, is the FSTP expected to focus more on possible use cases or rather on the development of additional functionalities? I would say both, basically. So the idea of the FSTP is really to demonstrate and test the systems. So it can indeed be in new use case applications or by the addition of new functionalities. Most probably, I guess it will be a bit of both. I would say it would be an adequate mix to show different things that can be done there. Then there is a question again about collaborative telepresence, about the use of head-mounted devices, if this is a requirement for the proposals. No, not at all. This is one of the options to have this kind of activity online, but basically this could be something else. So I mean, this is up to the proposal to decide. Then there is a question about the possibility of collaborating with US partners for this call. I would say that this is a bit of a tricky question because formally speaking, you have to go back to the rules of participation for Horizon Europe. But I think it's possible for the US to take part if they are completely funded. However, and I would like to insist on that, the goal of this call is really to create a European tool. And I mean, you will have to put a lot of attention in justifying why you need American partners and what kind of influence and consequences it will have on the impact of your project. So you really have to think about the advantage and disadvantage of such an idea, I would say. There is then a relatively general question where the person did not indicate which call, which asks whether applicants for FSTP can come from both industry and academia. And I think this is a question that is probably valid for most of the calls that we have been presenting now. And well, yes, I mean, it's open to industry, academia, and end users. So once again, it's really about how you think the choreography and the content of your proposal and how you justify that you need this kind of STP calls and this kind of participants. So there is a level of flexibility there. I think I've covered the questions from the chat. Yes, right. Yeah. Okay. Then we had received a couple of questions also offline that I'm going to ask to my colleagues to clarify maybe a bit certain things that we have. So Philippe, first, it looks like the call that you have been presenting is quite a pretty challenging one, where you ask for many different things. So the questions that many people ask themselves is, how do you expect one consortium to answer all the imposed constraints?
Well, it's obviously a challenging call, but one has to remember that it's really a low TRL exercise. So we do not expect the project to go up to production and generation of service and start selling the service related to that. It's really more on the fundamental part of it. And we wanted to have the call very open to all the possibilities. So we did not want it to be limitative on the set of questions, no set of problems to be addressed. So that's a little bit how you have to foresee the call and understand the call as it stands. I think that's make it a little bit more in perspective of the long list of things to be provided.
Okay, thank you, Philippe. Then another relatively detailed and precise question for Robin. Well, in the call and what you present, Robin, you talk about the blinds, and the question is really about the use of Braille. So is it mandatory, or can the project use or develop a different communication code instead of Braille? Robin, I don't know if you can be online.
Yeah. Hi. So
yeah.
For Braille, so we do expect the device to work with Braille. It's the most common form of tactile writing, so that would be normally a requirement. But it should also work with other formats. I mean, partially the point is to display non-written information, so graphics, for example, or graphs in a tactile format, and Braille doesn't really do that. So Braille is one format, but we're looking for all sorts of other formats to help bring visual information into a tactile format.
Okay. Thank you, Robin. I think this clarified the issue. And then, Adelina, a kind of relatively important question, because the call makes a reference to the Media Data Space Initiative. And the question is, what does the Media Data Space Initiative mean exactly in this context? And do the Horizon Europe funded projects in this call need to contribute to it?
Yes, thank you, Anne. Indeed, the Media Data Space Initiative is very important to be taken into consideration by the applicants. It was part of the Media and Audiovisual Action Plan that was presented by the Commission in December last year in order to support the recovery and transformation of the news media and of the audiovisual sectors. And the proposals are supposed to contribute to them. The media data spaces are implemented through the Digital Europe program that is to be adopted soon.
And this particular call under Horizon Europe should help build innovative applications and technologies for media in support of this data initiative. And something else to be mentioned is that the media data space could be taken in the future as an opportunity to test the innovations that are to be the outcomes of this proposals call. Yeah.
Thank you, Adelina. I'm going to take a last question that we had received. This is going to be for me about the coordination and support action. So you will still have the time of my intervention to ask your last questions on the chat if you still have some doubts or some burning issues to share with us. So, I mean, there was a questions about the CSA. And when we talk about forging a competitive and sustainable EU XR ecosystem, the question was, do we expect the project to create a new European XR association? And there I would like to remind everyone that we still have a couple of running existing associations in Europe, targeting different kind of stakeholders, different kinds of activities and so on. We also have a running CSA for the moment. And of course, ideally people should not reinvent the wheel. So one way or the other, it would be much better if you find a way to kind of involve as much as possible what is already out there and rationalize it and build on it as much as possible, even if it does not prevent you from creating something else as well. But I mean, those are the kind of things that will be carefully checked out by our experts when your proposal will be evaluated. So, do we have more questions, or is it obviously this is the end? Just regarding the FSTP, I mean, there is an annex that you can consult from explaining all the mechanisms and all the conditions of eligibility and how it should be run and monitored and so on. So, I mean, you can definitely have a look at this document on the website of the European Commission before preparing your proposal to have a better idea, because we cannot really answer here some very detailed practical questions, but I mean, everything is in the annex that you can find on the web if you have more questions. Okay, so I guess that this is going to conclude our session today. I would like to warmly thank all the speakers for their inspiring and interesting talks. I would like to thank as well the people who have been listening to us this afternoon, and we would really like to wish you all the best in the preparation for your proposals and in the process that will come with it. We are very much looking forward to all the good ideas that you are going to present to us. It's usually quite an exciting time, so thank you in advance for that. And then we can close the session and have all of the time to prepare for the match at 6 o'clock for some of us who would be willing to watch it. Thank you for your attention.